Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to this wonderful event, book launch, and a very warm welcome to you, Irma Boom, our guest of honor tonight. Thank you for coming. Despite the weather, it's really a challenge to be outside, really. And I would suggest that we talk a while and then that we have a drink and then you go back to the exhibition because we have climatized rooms.
And buy the book. Buy the book.
Yes, sure. Irma Boom is a wonderful book artist, and we are talking about books. As you know, we at Fondation Bayerler, by the way, my name is Ulf Küster, and I'm the senior curator here, and I curated the Mondrian show. We are always thinking about how to do our catalogs. Catalogs are very important because the catalogs are the things or are the leftovers of an exhibition, and that's one aspect. The other aspect is that someone of you might have moved recently, and you might have moved with your art books, and then you know how heavy this is and how much, what a burden this is. I mean, physically, really. So this is always something we think about. Should we do a catalog, or shouldn't we do a catalog? Normally, we do a catalog because we like to have something left from the exhibition. Anyway, when we decided to do the Mondrian show, it was very clear that we would ask a Dutch designer to do the catalog for us, because there is great Dutch design around, more or less inspired by Mondrian, because Mondrian, as you all know, was the co-founder of the Style, and that is, of course, very influential for design in general and until today. And there is a fantastic book designer in the Netherlands, and this is the one and only Irma Boom. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So, Irma, I mentioned all this already. We think about catalogs, and we live in the digital age, and but you are still very, very positive about doing catalogs.
No, I'm not positive. I'm passionate and obsessive about books.
Okay, so the book has a future, after all. Do you think?
The book is the future. I think that is the crucial thing about if you compare it to internet, where everything is flux and everything can change every minute. The book is a very whatever you put in the book is unchangeable, and it has proved to be the most stable medium ever since 300 or 550 after Christ. There you have already books, for example, in the Vatican Library, and maybe even before. But since Gutenberg, the book didn't change that much. It's still shared information in printed on paper and in a print run, a very democratic medium, and share all over the world and distribute all over the world. And I think that's the crucial thing of the book, that it's stable. It's more stable than internet or any new media.
But it is very successful.
You agree?
Yeah, that's good. You were mentioning the Vatican. You are doing a Vatican project. Can you talk about this a little? Because I mean, in the Vatican, I think the oldest books are actually kept there, more or less.
Yeah. So the oldest book is on the Virgil, Virgilius Romanus, and yeah. So I came to study at the Vatican because I was an artist in residence at the American Academy in Rome, and there, yeah, it's a long story. I will keep it very short. But anyway, I was visiting libraries, and one person, an old lady, told me, you're this book designer and I've seen your books. Why don't you study at the Vatican Library instead of Angelica, Casanatense? And then I thought, well, they only allow scholars. But then she said, write a text, write a proposal why you should, as a designer, study at the Vatican Library and have it translated into Italian. And that's what I did. And
What did you write in that proposal?
Basically, what I just said.
Okay.
and I really believe in the book, and that the book, even this catalog, so the exhibition is gone, the book will remain, and it's printed on very good paper, and so the book is the evidence that there ever was a Mondrian exhibition here, and this Mondrian exhibition at the Bijler, and I think that is what a library also does. It becomes a reference for the future, and if you have so many books, and everything what is printed in a book is this unchangeable information. So that is the trigger for me, also to still make books, because it is the common knowledge. It's a knowledge we share and which you always can revert to.
Do you think there's a typical Dutch tradition of bookmaking you relate to? Or?
Oh, no, I very much like the classic book, and I'm not a typical modernist, but I don't know. I really like clarity, and that information is shared in such a way that it's accessible for people. So maybe that could be some Dutchness, but further I think I revert very much to the classic book, and it's also my inspiration. I also collect old books. I collect books from the 60s and books from the Renaissance and 1600s. So those are my references. I have my own library. Still, it's under construction, but I collect only a library with about 300 books, where you can also compare the 60s to the Renaissance books, which is extremely interesting. They match very well.
Books from the 1960s, you mean?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's interesting. You began as a painter.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you?
Why did I? Oh, yeah. But I really had this romantic idea of a painter in a studio all alone, and I did it. I went to a very liberal art school, and I studied for 3.5 years painting, but I found out that I simply was not good enough. And I thought I need to do something else. I also thought it was very important that the conversation with something or with somebody, or the collaboration. And as a sort of coincidence, I bumped at the art school in the Aki in Enschede, very close to the German border, to this teacher who every week came to the school with suitcases with books and would talk about books, why a book has a certain size, or he would recite poetry. When I came in, he was reciting Apollinaire, and I immediately fell in love and never touched, how do you say it? I never did any painting anymore.
Okay.
So I only did books.
So, and you did quite a lot of books, and you are from time to time thinking about what you did and doing these wonderful catalogs, which you call the architecture of books, and they are very small. This is the 2013 version. I think this is a selection of books. It's in reverse order. In the selection of 265 books, I think.
Yeah.
And this is the actual.
This is a current book which comes out in 2 weeks.
All right, so that's the model.
And that's the book manifest. And maybe I can say something about it in relation to this
the
book.
Catalog, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because when Ulf asked me to collaborate on this catalog for the Mondrian exhibition, of course I was super, super honored. And as a Dutch person working on a catalog for the Mondrian exhibition, I thought, of course, I will do it, and then I immediately, and I knew it was called Mondrian
Well,
Evolution.
actually, we were talking about this, and because we normally think one name is enough, and then I came up with this, and I think I tested, and I asked you what you think, and you were just on
About
fire.
the
I said,
title,
well,
you
yeah,
mean?
Mondrian
Yeah.
Evolution, that would be
Yeah.
the right title, and then I asked. It was a bit strange because normally you talk to your people before you decide.
To young people?
No, to my people.
Oh, to your. Oh, okay.
And so I had a bit of an sort of well, not a problem, but because everyone liked it eventually. But yeah, but you know, it's like because we when we do a Monet exhibition, we call it Monet, and of course we call this Mondrian. But Mondrian Evolution is so much better because it is really about what it is. So you.
It is also
Well,
you can think
encouraged
about
me to make the case, yeah.
Yeah, and also you can think about an image or a cover. If there's only Mondrian, then everybody thinks about the Mondrian we already know, which is this person, and who has the abstract paintings.
Yeah. This person and one of these paintings. I mean, that's.
Fantastic.
We did fantastic, but we did research, and most of the Mondrian catalogs look like that.
Or have a windmill.
And I have to admit that we said, well, we should have the windmill. Yes. Old-fashioned people.
Always ask me to come up with a windmill on the cover.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I thought, well, yeah, maybe because I'm from the Netherlands. If you make a book for Japan, you don't put a red dot on a book. If you're from the Netherlands, you don't put a windmill on a cover. That's basically it's a stereotype, even though it's Mondrian. And I think that was our biggest thing, the cover, about the inside, the size of the book, the paper, everything was okay, except the cover. And so we were so much in discussion about the cover, and during we were discussing the cover. That was when I was making the book. It was still. Please put a windmill on the cover, and there are many beautiful windmills, so it wouldn't have been such a big problem. But when you asked me to make a book about Mondrian early years, I was looking, how did Mondrian look when he was young, and that is this. I was totally intrigued by this fantastic self-portrait, and the portrait was taken for his exhibition in the Stedelijk Museum, where he hired a room at that time. I think it's the Stedelijk Museum should do that again. You could hire a room and then
or any other museum. As an artist, you could just say, go to the Kunstmuseum Basel and say, give me a room, I'd like to exhibit.
Yeah.
Would be great.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Well, he did it.
He did it.
And he was self-confident.
And for this exhibition, he made this photograph as a sort of self-promoting, which I thought was extremely interesting, because we know him as this guy with the glasses and very stylistic, but the Rasputin version is a little bit unknown. And
that was us. We called it Rasputin.
Yeah.
And it was. But it stuck on this cover for a long time, you know.
And then, when I was working on my little book, it was still not clear that we could take this image of this photograph of Mondrian. So I thought, whatever happens, I make my book, because it had to go to the printer, and I put this cover already as a sort of that I would really like to have this cover for this catalog. Whatever we decide later, because I have a story there. It's in progress. It's the first cover proposal I've made, and it's a self-portrait of Mondrian from 1908. And I thought, and then I think Francesca and you came to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And we were still talking about the cover with the windmill or something else. And I said, but why don't you, again, please reconsider the portrait? And I said, and also whatever is decided in my little red book, there will be the cover of
Yeah.
of the cover I really would encourage you to take. And then you said immediately,
Not quite immediately, actually, but because you were very strict about this, and this is the cover, and I mean that would be the cover, and if you
It should be the-
if you don't accept it, it's okay, but it would be my cover, and then I had the feeling that we really should do this, and I think it's it's always like of course we have to sell these catalogs, and we weren't sure. I mean, it's like I'm not in marketing. I'm not a marketing person.
I don't care about marketing at all.
Well, but no, okay. Don't let's go.
And if you go to the Vatican, the whole idea of the cover is it's really late. It's really 19th century or something, and so the book was always about the spine. There you had the name and the author, and that was the most crucial thing. So the cover is indeed it's a marketing tool. And we both are not into marketing, but then I think if a book is good, it will sell.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
doesn't only sell by the cover. I don't think
Yeah.
like that at all.
And then, of course, what struck me immediately as really a strike of genius. I mean, apart from that, this is really great to have Rasputin here and the professor here. Is that that of course it looks a little strange. I mean, this is one of your principles, I think, that you make people touch the books. What did
A
you?
book is a physical object, so it's really great if people pick it up.
In the sense that when you touch it, you see the title, and if you see it like that, then if you touch it and if you turn it around, then you see the real title of the book, and you are really thinking of the spine because in the bookshelf you will have it like that.
Yeah, and what is important, it's an evolution. So that's why it's good to have the title going from front or from back to front and centered on the spine, because then it makes a connection about Mondrian evolution. It tells the story, and I think that is nice about. Maybe I don't know if it's Dutch, but it's the way I design. If I have an argument for something, then I can explain why I'm doing it. It's not about that it's beautiful or that the color is not the right color. It is a story you can tell, and I think that is what for me is crucial. By doing something, it's not that I don't like a windmill. I think this is a better story to tell the story about the exhibition and what you are showing in the here at Beyeler, and what we want to show in the book. It is the evolution we want to show, and that's what is visible on the front and back cover and the spine.
And there are some other aspects I really do like about this book. I mean, we could perhaps talk a little about the cover, because the cover is colorful, and what did you? I mean, it's perhaps obvious because this is more blue, this is more reddish. This other you.
What do you want to know?
Well, why did you do it like that? I mean, it's a little blurred. I mean, it's not really Mondrian style, but it's Mondrian colors.
Yeah, it's Mondrian colors, but I had it in this book in black and white.
Yes.
And I thought there it was not enough intriguing.
Yeah.
It needed a contemporary conversion, and that's why the cover, it is a black and white photograph, but I used the Mondrian colors to create a new image for Mondrian, because he was so vain. And I thought, let's bring him to this time. I think that's also interesting about certain work that it's made in this time. This book is not made in 1908; it's made in 2022, and that is what I want to show. And that's why I also thought it is interesting that you almost feel it is a 3D image. Is it something digital? So Mondrian is brought to this time. And it's also not a hardcover book, so it's a soft cover, which is also, I think, interesting if you think of the work of Mondrian, which is the grid, and that this book is soft. It's also a decision to make.
And a very good decision, well, because we for a long time we made hardcover books because we thought it's perhaps more valuable, and you like more to touch it. But
people pay more for a hardcover book. That's the thing. You can have a higher price.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm not from marketing.
Me
so
too. No, but
idea.
it is a fact.
Yeah, it is a fact. Okay.
Yeah.
Then what I like about this book is you know, that's my vanity. If I do an exhibition, I think it's always very sad when it's over. And the last day, I'm going with my little iPhone camera and do a little film, a little sort of shaky film of it. And I sometimes, and I think this exhibition will be like that. Sometimes, when I like the exhibition a lot, then I make sure that I'm the last visitor. You know? And so the idea that the exhibition stays in the book, and we haven't forgotten this, but one should shed more light on this idea that what we do is going away, but the book is really staying. And then you had this wonderful idea to do the first room, at least the first room in the order of how the exhibition evolves.
Yeah.
And that I thank you very much for, because this is something.
But what I maybe can add to it, I really like to make books, and as I said, I'm obsessed by making books. I do it 24/7, and but the real artworks are always the best. The book is a representation of the artwork, because if you see the real Mondrians, nothing you can compare. And I think you did a great show. But the book is also a space where at least we can try to capture that feeling of the exhibition. And yeah, that's. I hope it works, and but that's at least what we I think together tried.
Yes, and then what I thought, remembering to working. I mean, I didn't work with you on the book because you don't need someone to help you working. But we were talking a bit about the book. Do you remember that we had this biography of Michel Seufort wrote about Mondrian, which was done in the 50s. Wonderfully set. I mean, Mondrian had this friend who was called Michel Seufort, who was an artist himself, and he very much influenced the image of Mondrian we have today, which means that he was mostly interested in the late Mondrian. As you know, Mondrian began his late neoplasticist paintings when he was around 50 years old, and Seufort neglected this old the landscape paintings, for example, a little, and that was wonderfully said. And would you say that this book influenced you, or?
That book is very important, of course, and it's a fantastic book, and very. There's of course no competition, but it's very hard to beat that beautiful book. And with the tipped-in colored images and full color images, that's a beautiful book. This is something else. That is really a book from the 70s, I think, and this is a book from this time,
50s.
Or 50s. This is really a book from this time, and yeah. I think that's also interesting to feel the time when a book is made. I would never repeat a book which has already been done, but indeed influenced. Yes.
Can you say something about the architecture of this catalog?
Yeah. So if you look at, first of all, the typeface is a typeface, I think it's Swiss, replica. That's a typeface which is not serif and not sans serif. So it's in between modern and classic. And I thought it was interesting, if you think of Mondrian Evolution, to use a typeface where you can feel that it's going from one into the other. And then I also thought that this book the typography should be a sort of prelude to the final Mondrian, where as we know the Mondrian with the grid, but the way I place the typography is I never use a grid, but for this book I made a grid where the text almost gets the shape of a Mondrian, and I thought that could be interesting. I don't know if people look in the book if they feel it, but I really try to get already in the system of Mondrian. And where you told this morning, Mondrian didn't follow mathematics and he didn't use a ruler, and this is of course very much strict and made in the computer, but very freely. So nothing is super perfect, and that's maybe also a reference to Mondrian. But it's definitely the text is a yeah, I call it a prelude to the late Mondrian pieces. Yeah.
I know people who have read this book even in the bathtub because it's so light. This is something one should mention as well. Then there's a wonderful thing which I like to repeat in a way. We made this with many photographs, this very nice biography. In the end, we made, and that was really a strike of genius, I think. That was your idea to make a list of the work list, which is complicated with Mondrian because there is Katalog raisonné, and there was research. The Katalog raisonné is not that modern anymore. There was research later, so the titles tend to differ a little and are very long. And that's, by the way, the reason why we don't use it as labels in the exhibition, only give it out printed or via QR code on the smartphone. I mean, perhaps you explain the idea.
Is the list of work in chronological order, where you can see actually the evolution of the Mondrian paintings. Because it's small, like my book is small, you can oversee something. And all these works are placed 10% as a sort of a checklist of the works in the exhibition. And you can by turning the pages, you can see how Mondrian made an evolution to finally to the abstract paintings, and so it serves two goals: also to show the work in relation, because so it's all 10% placed, but in the book itself, in the catalog part of the book, we place it how it looked beautifully. But for me, it's also important that you know if a painting is small or big, and that's also what you can see in this last part. It's basically almost a mini exhibition in the book, and in chronological.
Yes, this is really wonderful because that's always a problem really in catalogs, that we do these work lists. They are just printed paper normally, and you don't have any sense of how big the paintings are and how they relate.
But also as a sort of coincidence on the spreads, it's really worked out well. If Mondrian was somewhere, it's how he goes from one type of painting to another is almost divined per spread. So that's a sort of coincidence, which I thought was also really very nice.
So of course, as an artist, windmills are the last windmills. The windmills. This is nice. This is nice too. But you repeat it later on, because this is 1917. In 1918, he does this famous.
Shall we show the page?
Yes. Yeah. Because.
So the book begins with an early and a late work, but here you think it's an early. Another visitor could think it's an early and a late work, but
it's 1917 and this is 1918. And when you go through the exhibition, you can see these 1917 windmills at the same time as the 1918 fantastic first diamond-shaped painting. So that's again something which will stay after we remove the.
And then the last page of the book is blank, which I really regret.
Yes.
Because on the first page, of course, we have Mondrian Evolution, and I had an idea to place on the last page, but that was not scientifically proven and maybe not right. I wanted to place Mondrian doesn't like green, but then Ulf said it's not really true. Right?
Well, I said. No, I said something. Should I really say?
Yeah.
What I said.
Say what? Yeah. I forgot.
I said, well, perhaps not. Yeah, perhaps not all our visitors are that ironic or understand this irony. This is, of course, again a mistake. I should have let you. Next time you just do
in the reprint, right?
In the reprint. Okay.
Okay.
The reprint. Yeah.
No, but it's true. In the geometrical paintings, there is no green.
No.
Of course, in the early works, yes.
We have one.
Not in the last. In the late works.
Well, the church tower at Domburg has green in it in a very interesting way.
Yeah, but I'm talking about these.
Yeah, no. There's of course no green. Of course. Only primary colors. Did working on this catalog change your look on Mondrian, or?
Of course, it did, but seeing the exhibition made me even more aware of what of course, we all know he's a wonderful artist, but it is, I think I'm very proud that I'm also a Dutch man, a Dutch girl, and that Mondrian is a Dutch painter, and that I could do this book. And I really think that this exhibition is really, not that we want to give each other compliments, but
why not?
But I really want to do, because for me it was a sort of eye-opener, a sort of revelation, how beautifully it's displayed and the connections you made, the choices you made. Of course, it's visible in the book, but in the exhibition, it's overwhelming and really, it's for me also to have a more appreciation to the early Mondrians, which I didn't have before, and now I understand. I think I understand better. Yeah.
And when we talk about compliments, so thank you. First of all, thank you very much. But when we talk about compliments, this book is very, very important for us because it shows new ways of doing this a little used theme of exhibition catalogs. What you can make of it and how you can develop this. So we are very, very grateful. You are a very, very busy person. You are designing, as you said, books 24/7. Any future projects you could share with us?
I never talk about future projects, only when it's done.
Okay.
But I can, but you're all invited to come in November to the exhibition in the Vatican Library, of course.
Oh.
But so I talk not about future books, but about future exhibitions at the Rijksmuseum. There's an exhibition also in November. And there's an exhibition in Amsterdam at the Allard Pierson Museum where you can see the models. Also, the model of this book is in the exhibition displayed. But I'm working on many. Yeah, okay, maybe one. Steve McQueen is coming out very soon. That book is almost ready. So for the Milan show in the Hangar Bicocca.
Okay.
And I think that book will be released in a few weeks.
Okay.
And I'm also a super admirer of Steve McQueen's work. So, I collaborated also with him in a very, close collaboration. And really, I hope it will be good. You never know. It could be good. It can not be good. You never know You only know if a book is good when it's there, when it's materialized. If you see a PDF or whatever, it doesn't mean anything. You have to see it materialized, printed and bound, and then a book is ready, and then we can say something about it.
Yeah. I mean, as I always say after my guided tours, if you don't like the book, it's okay. But if you like it, you could actually acquire it.
Yeah.
And here now you are a bit here, and you could perhaps sign it. And thanks very much for coming. And look at the book and appreciate it and
And
love
also
it.
criticize it. I also like criticism.
Yes, of course. Thanks you.
Okay.